Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/malicious compliance, where OP presented checkmate to a lazy coworker. Let's begin. I see your malicious compliance on me, so I will do one of my own on you. Posted by Reddit user Sad Puppy Eyes.
A while ago, I was in charge of training for a large organization. I mostly did the organizing. For a fictitious example, I might coordinate the Dean of Medicine at Yale to come in and give a speech to 200 employees. Our usual location was a large auditorium or classroom, complete with podium and computer. The aforementioned dean might show up with a PowerPoint that he needed to run, so I had my two admin assistants show up at 7:45 a.m. each morning to make sure whatever the room was running for whatever speaker or lecturer was there, as the usual start time was 8 a.m. Sometimes, as was bound to happen, computer issues arose. Not too often, maybe once or twice a month, tops. Maybe the dean couldn't pull up his PowerPoint. So we'd call our IT guy, Gary, who was 2 offices away, and he'd come and fix the problem. Everyone was happy until Gary retired. His new replacement, Todd, didn't like the arrangement. Though his start time was 8 a.m., he'd often drift in at 8:10 a.m. or 8:15 a.m. This is not good when we're having a computer crisis at 8:02 a.m. Further, he hated walking into the office and immediately having a call waiting for him. He wanted to have his coffee, read his email, and ease his way into the workday. Can't blame him there. So, Todd decided that he would no longer attend our computer calls. He told me to have my admin assistants troubleshoot the problems, since they were there anyways. He was pretty hardcore about this, until I pulled out the job description of my assistants, and nowhere did it say that computer repair fell under their workload. I then showed him his job description, where it said that computer repair was. Enter malicious compliance on Todd's part. You want me to attend? Okay, then we do it by the books. No more calling me directly. You need to call the central helpline and have them open a user ticket. Then I'll attend. I pointed out the foolishness of this. It's 7:54 a.m. I have the Yale Dean of Medicine and he can't work his PowerPoint. I need it fixed now. I can't spend 15 minutes waiting on hold for the next available help desk agent, then 15 minutes explaining the problem to them, then have them open a ticket and send it to Todd, then another 20 minutes before Todd opens or responds to the ticket. We can't have 200 people sitting for 45 minutes waiting on Todd. Too bad, he said with a smirk. Those are the rules, or you could just have you admin ladies fix the problem. I tried one last-ditch effort to reason. When the CEO is going to give a speech and the computer shorts out, he doesn't have to wait 45 minutes. So obviously, you can make exceptions. Common sense says this should be one too. Nope, Todd said. The CEO has staff do what's called a preemptive ticket. They submit it ahead of time and have me there on standby in case things do go wrong. So yes, even he has to do the ticket process. Okay, Todd, I see your malicious compliance and raise you one of my own. The next morning, I sat with coffee in hand and waited, smiling in anticipation. Sure enough, my door burst open with a furious Todd. What the fuck is this? He snarled, waving a printout. I had submitted preemptive tickets for every day for the next 3 months, requiring Todd to be at my training room at 7:45 a.m. every day just in case there was a computer emergency. Even better, I had contacted his boss and received authorization to change Todd's work schedule due to operational requirements. So he would now be required to work 7 to 3 instead of 8 to 4. Or you could just pick up the damn phone when I call and come over. We agreed that the ticket process would not be necessary, and he would show up as needed.
OP, you should have pushed through with the preemptive tickets for 3 months, just to make extra sure that his lazy ass really learned his lesson. And now for today's second story. My micromanager was forced to step down after mismanaging a new retail service. Posted by Reddit user Rabin Graves.
This one might be petty and definitely not as epic as some of the posts I've seen here, and I'm long-winded. Relevant background info first. Anyway, several years ago I was working at one of the big hardware stores in my area. It's a household name and had some upward mobility with decent pay for the area. I never really found a niche there after my first year and a half. I learned quickly though, so they kinda made me a Swiss Army employee. I could work hardware, plumbing, mix paint, make keys, prepare contracts for installations, and know all the features and flaws of the appliance models we sold. I was happy to do this because I was building a reputation as someone who could do everything. 2 years in, a new program was implemented that I was uniquely qualified to assist with. They created a new position for me. It was marketed as an all-in-one renovation and remodel service for interiors. I was to assist the designer with product selection, product information, contracts, and local marketing for this service. Everyone involved was super excited about it. Note, I was still only making $10 an hour in 2015 for this. The problem was that because this was brand new, no one knew how it should work. The designer basically had to figure it out for herself while I tried to catch her up with all of the store and product knowledge I had accumulated during my unique experience with the company. Issues with the program. 1. It was way too expensive. 2. Product to be used had to come from one of our stores, which was limiting. 3. No one knew about it. It was a rocky start. Coworkers would call me over to talk to customers if they mentioned working on a big project, but that's all we had. No completed jobs to reference or anything provided by corporate to get us running. We made our own stuff. I put together a video advertising the service and got the nod from management to use company card to purchase a TV and media player to roll the video on repeat. We built vignettes in the store to showcase our design ability. I had been picking up a lot from the designer, so it ended up being a partnership in effect. The micromanager. Enter Devin, the assistant manager. He had actually been involved in the project from the beginning and had been pretty supportive and brought good energy at first. But I think he got fed up with issues that we couldn't control, sloppy contactors refusing to fix things that they messed up, slow design processes customers worked out what they wanted, and people just backing out after taking a bunch of our time when they see the price. We were, on average, charging $3,000 more for a small bathroom remodel on labor alone. Consulting and design fees were also worked into the final cost. The product was discounted to basically being tax-free, but as I mentioned, options were limited to products the company sold. It was just too expensive to make many sales on the poorer side of town where almost everyone knows some kind of contractor or tradesman with connections. It wasn't a good market for this program, but we did manage to start hitting and exceeding our numbers. Number 7 in the region for the brand new program was not bad, and just when we finally started getting some business and a rhythm around 8 months in, Devin decided that it was not working fast enough for him. Obviously, the designer was to blame since he had no authority over the contractors or setting prices. She didn't know what she was doing and he was going to make some changes. He honestly didn't do much besides hover, bring bad energy, and make terrible suggestions. He didn't understand the scope of what we had to do to get a customer out the door and happy. He forced us to cut corners and get the sale as quickly as possible without concern for liability, for basically destroying a room in someone's home to remake it, or what was realistic in terms of timelines. Customers felt rushed and got nervous. They backed out. We came to a standstill. We would only have 2 or 3 designs in progress at a time. But suddenly, after working our asses off building the program, we had no customers for the first time in 6 months. Obviously, Devin was not subjecting us to his authority hard enough, so he went harder and fired the designer. I lost my patience. Justice or injustice, I don't know. I'm a chill dude, but I had been working my ass off for this company, making peanuts on the promise that I was working towards something. I endured working for the incompetent managers that got their positions because they started working there at 18 and made it their life. The toxic alpha male I will lead, you will follow BS was too much. So I started bullying him back, making fun of him in a teasing way where he couldn't really react without looking bad or losing control. I did that for a while, and he left me alone to run the program in the interim since I was the only option. The designer and I had become friends though, so I was still mad about how it went down. I wasn't finished yet, but I didn't know what to do. Eventually they got another designer and Devin had me move back to what I had been doing before. Passed over for several promotions that I was more than qualified for. The market had been flooded with long-time employees that were being moved around. Bad luck, but I was done with the place. One day we were sent an email link to an anonymous manager review survey. The store computers were set up with an always-on and logged-in user profile, so I wrote down the link and verified with a coworker that they weren't unique. In every department I visited that day, I wrote a review for Devin. All different ratings, some good, some bad, but I made the good ones so that they sounded bad, but as if I didn't know it was bad. I did that maybe 10 times. It wasn't character assassination or anything, just opinion-based stuff with some vague examples so no one could figure out it was me. I didn't lie either, I just said what people don't usually say out loud. He would barely look at anyone after that. A couple of weeks later, he resigned his position as assistant manager and took an exterior design position at the other end of the store, as far away from the departments he had been over before. Basically, the same thing as what we had done with interiors, but he was in the designer's shoes. I left a couple of months later to work tech support for DHS, but while I was still in training for that, my friends from the store told me he had gotten fired. Maybe he learned something. He should at least have learned how my designer friend felt. They were both fired at Christmas.
OP, I sincerely hope that you're still friends with the designer. You two should definitely start your own company and get rich together. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.